This is the Hofstra Radio Alumni Audio Yearbook, and today is October 13th, 2024. Today, my guest is one of the newest members of the Hofstra Radio Hall of Fame, Stu Rushfield. Stu, congratulations and welcome to the Audio Yearbook.
Brian, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me, and it is a joy to be here.
Awesome. So how does it feel, if you could describe it in a few words or a couple sentences, how does it feel to be inducted into the Hofstra Radio Hall of Fame?
It's actually very special because it really shows, in my case, I think it really helps to show the progression or the connections that we all make through the years. Starting with Jeff Krause, who was, of course, my teacher and mentor way back in the day, in the dark ages when I was there. And then, interestingly, I'll tell you a quick story, which is that I was on my way to my last final exam, my very last final exam. I was sitting in the office at RHU, and I was walking out the door, and I heard the phone ring, and then Jeff Krause stops me in my tracks. He's like, "Stu?" And I was like, "Oh, what did I do now?" And actually, it happened to be Sue Ronneberger, who is another Hofstra Radio Hall of Famer, who was on the phone. She was calling from WABC. And they were apparently looking for vacation relief engineers. And Jeff knew I was about to graduate, and he put me on the phone with Sue. And 2 weeks later, I was sitting at the board at the biggest blowtorch of a talk radio station in the country, and running the show. So pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. I love that story and the connections. In the course of doing all these interviews, I've spoken to a lot of your contemporaries, and your name comes up so many times for people either that you brought into the station or trained or worked with over time, and your imprint on Hofstra Radio is significant and sincere. And I'm wondering, since you graduated, since you left and went off into the commercial radio world, what has your relationship been with Hofstra Radio since then?
Well, it's sad in a way because I have lived now in the Washington, D.C. area for over 30 years. Gosh, boy, going on 35 years. So I really have not had the opportunity to be around Hofstra Radio for a pretty long time. What I have done, though, being an old sports guy, is I continue to, so I'll tell you two things. So for years, whenever Hofstra was playing a game down in this area, and way back when I was there, we had football and basketball that we were doing. But whenever Hofstra is in the area playing Towson or GW or, schools like that, I have always gone to the games, and I always make it a point to go over to the WRHU sports guys who are there covering the game. So I've always had conversations with them and talked to them and told them about, my path and our experiences, and they told me about theirs, and I have marveled at the new equipment that we have that is so great compared to what we used to have back when I was there. And then last year, I actually had the honor of visiting the station for a few days and sitting in on classes with Professor Mark Ernay, another Hofstra Radio Hall of Famer who was there when I was there. And Mark was kind enough to have me come in and sit and talk to his class. And also, I spoke to Professor X's class. I don't know if anyone knows who Professor X is, or for whoever does not know, her name is Dwachli Saikautau, and I have known Dwachli for many years because she has worked for NPR for a long
Mm,
time, and now she is a valued and beloved professor, clearly beloved professor at Hofstra, and she had me come in and sit in on classes with her too. So, so that's been great. I wish there had been more over the years, but the only connections I generally have are if any students want to get in touch with me. I've always been open to that,
mm.
and just trying to keep in touch with the old sports guys.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing that you would go to games and meet up with the sports crew. That's a level of dedication. That's pretty impressive. Sometimes people will go once in a while, but to do that year after year, that's pretty cool. That's very
Well,
impressive.
listen, I mean, there are selfish reasons too. I wanted to see the games,
Sure.
so it wasn't just for that. But yeah, one thing that I'm a little sad about is that I went to a Hofstra game last year and the year before, and I couldn't find the sports guys. I couldn't find our team broadcasting the games.
Hmm.
And what I found out is that now, of course, technology being what it is, you actually don't have to send somebody to the game and they can sit and watch it on a screen, back in Hempstead and call the game in the studio. They're not traveling with the teams anymore. They're not going on the road, and I guess of course, this all started with the pandemic, and then
Yeah.
um, as it turns out, it's probably at this point more of a cost saving measure, and I understand it is not inexpensive to send people out on the road to cover games. I mean, I was lucky enough when I was there to, we would travel to our normal destinations to Rider College in New Jersey and Drexel in Philadelphia and Bucknell and Lehigh in Pennsylvania and uh, Towson State University in Maryland. But beyond that,
Hmm.
Hofstra would always have a couple of big games or a couple of, like a big road trip every year. So I got to go and broadcast at Cal in um, in San Francisco, and I got to go to Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas, and I got to broadcast courtside at Notre Dame. I mean, come on, that's an amazing
Hmm.
thing. Um,
Hmm.
and so I do have to say, I will say that I am rather sad that that is happening now because I feel like, especially as I was a assistant sports director for 1 year and then sports director for 2 years after that. Um, and I have to say, the being on the road and the arrangements you have to make and the connections you have to make with, sports information directors at other schools, and all that stuff, making travel arrangements, it was like so invaluable to me for preparing for a professional career. And I just I'm a little sad to hear that the sports crew is not traveling with the teams and getting that experience. And I really hope that might change at some point. I would be happy to be a big giant proponent for the sports crew getting back out on the road because doing the games at home is great and certainly valuable and amazing experience and a great way to develop, but it's also great to be out on the road. It just gives you the complete experience. And I just hope that there will be a time when that comes back into being.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of my favorite stories from doing this is some of the sports crew, the sports guys saying, "Oh, we went here and did this and ran into that problem here and had to fix this on the fly or got lost or whatever it is." And then there's dozens of stories that I've been told I'm not allowed to hear, so
Yeah.
that will
Oh, yeah. So many of
forever be
those.
protected. But yeah, that seems like a chance for such for team building and getting to know who you're working with better as being on the road, but. Um, yeah, I guess times change, and in some ways it's more convenient and gives them more access to doing games. But there's something intangible that you miss not going on the road. But I suppose we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I will try to be a thorn in the side of administration to say it is worth it to spend the money for these people to have this experience.
And now with your elevated status of being a Hall of Famer, that will surely carry more weight.
I'm sure that's not going to change a thing, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to try.
We'll see. So in your long career, starting at WABC and going on to NPR and all the things that you've done, where does this honor of going into the Hofstra Radio Hall of Fame rank among your accomplishments?
It is pretty great. I mean, it is right up there. I'll tell you, I've been an audio engineer and technical director at NPR for many years, most of the past 30 years. And but one of the most fun things I did, I always wanted to be on the air. I really
Hmm.
did. And then there were times I would be like, well, I have a story idea for NPR. Maybe I can do it. And then after a while, I would start working on it. And then I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just an engineer. I'll stay behind the scenes. Well, during the pandemic, I decided that time was over. And I did a story that actually went viral on three continents. And I became known for a brief time as the nemesis of Australia for for this story. So I have to say, among everything I've done, there's been nothing that's more fun than that. So that was really cool. Um, in the last year or so, a good friend of mine, Scott Simon, one of our hosts at NPR, um, had this idea for an audio book. He had been thinking about it for a long time, and he asked me to produce it for him.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, Scott, I have never produced an audiobook. I have no idea how to produce an audiobook. Um, but I said, you know what? If you want me to, I will learn how to produce an audiobook. And we did. It's a crazy thing about propaganda in war, mainly dating back to World War II. And it's got a bit of a wacky title. It's called Swing Time for Hitler,
Mm.
and it was produced for Scribd, and it became an award-winning audiobook. So I did the audio book producing and sound designing and engineering and all that, and so I guess apparently now I'm an audiobook producer, and so that would be up there. And now this, just joining some of the amazing people, and being in any club where Jeff Krause is
Mm.
really, to me, a great honor, because you know he was my mentor. Um, he was a real driving force. So, and being in there with some of the other great names, it's amazing the people who've been through those hallways and walked through those doors, and sat at the mics and sat behind the board, and just it's a great group, and
Mm.
so I'm proud to be a very, very small part of it.
Mm. That's great. Thank you for sharing all that and that your story about doing the audiobook. That strikes me as a very Hofstra Radio sort of thing to do. It's like we don't know how we're going to do this thing. We have an idea,
Yeah.
but we're going to figure it out, and we're going to make it fantastic.
Yeah,
And I love hearing that. That's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, it takes me back to the studio. Gosh, uh, somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong. Um, I think, was it called 4A? I don't remember. It was our 4-track production studio.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And it was super intimidating having 4 audio tracks. Can you imagine having 4 audio tracks to play with at once? And anyway, that was really intimidating. But yeah, we did a lot of things there, made some fun promos and things like that. And we did radio drama kind of stuff, and Sue Zizzo was big on that. She's been kind enough to involve me uh, in her efforts to keep the radio theater aspect alive.
Mm.
So, it's great. I mean, I reach out and hear from people all the time, um, from Hofstra, who have gone into, and the other thing is, we talk about radio, we talk about maybe audio production, stuff like that, broadcasting, being on the air, but there are other people who've done really great things too.
Mm-hmm.
Who have just branched out into other parts of the media. Um, I think of some of the sports guys who were there with me. Pete Caldera, who
Mm-hmm.
has actually been my best friend since second grade. He branched out, and he has been a beat writer covering the Yankees for years and years, for what is now North Jersey .com. I think it used to be called the Bergen Record. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's changed a few times. But anyway, and then Marshall Hausfeld has been a long time video editor for NBC and
Yeah.
MSNBC. Tony Sabilla has been with Music Choice, which is, the thing that has been on my cable system for many years, which, before satellite radio and before Spotify and Apple Music, you had Music Choice, where you could go and, flip through various stations of, all different types of music, all different genres, and that kind of thing. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other people as well. But I think one of the great things is that people who have been through RHU um, have not necessarily been limited to radio,
Right.
but we are all over the media, and I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, those are some great names you mentioned there, and yeah, WRHU was and WVHC was a springboard for a lot of people to pursue a lot of different careers, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you. So your induction is at this point days away. When people hear this, it will be in mere days. What are you looking forward to on Saturday the 19th?
Well, I think I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time sitting in traffic on the New Jersey Turnpike. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Um,
Don't forget the Belt Parkway. I'm sure that'll
and
be bad
the
too.
Belt Parkway, my suspension of my car is ready to be destroyed.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all worth it. What am I looking forward to? I am actually looking forward to just going back to the station and just kind of hanging around and, looking at things. And because I'm just kind of that radio nerd kind of a guy. But I am excited because some of the old sports guys from my generation are planning on being there. Steve Goldman, who is an amazing sports guy and was a
Mm-hmm.
great partner to work with back in our days, who became a math teacher. After a brief stint, he actually, I believe, went to a small station in Bakersfield, California, and
Mm-hmm.
then he went to work at ESPN for a little while, and but then decided to follow his brains and became a math teacher, and is actually planning on, I don't know if I'm spoiling this for anybody, but planning on retiring at the end of this school year. So
Yeah, yeah, he's made noise. This is it. This
yeah, that
is
is very
good for
exciting.
him.
I mean, listen, if you can have a pension and retire and go enjoy life, why not do it as soon as you can? Um,
Amen.
that's one thing. I'm sad to say that NPR is not like a part of the government. National Public Radio is a private institution, and therefore there is no pension involved. But
Mm.
don't worry, I've been saving, and,
Okay, good.
I'm going to be I'll be just fine. If not, I'll move in with Steve. I think. Anyway, and so yeah, I mentioned Steve, and then Ben Buchwald, another old sports guy who has been in sales at Katz Media for ever since he graduated from Hofstra. Started, at the bottom, and he is now a big muckety muck. He's planning on being there. I'm hoping that Glenn Koch, who ended up going into editing in legal journals and things like that. And if anybody happens to hear this, I would welcome anyone else. I know Pete Caldera and Mark Renee put out a great little video
Hmm.
um, wishing me congratulations and all that. And that was really special. But I'm looking forward to seeing, a lot of old faces, new familiar faces, new faces that I haven't met before, but I've heard a lot of great things about. And I'm actually looking forward to being inside the Hofstra University Club, because it was a new thing, I think,
Mm.
when we were there, and it was really kind of reserved for the fancy people, and I've never set foot in the doors of the university club. So I want to see what I've been missing all these years, and make sure they really are going to let me in, because I'm just little old me.
It is quite nice. We've done a couple of recent events there with the Alumni Association, and I remember in the '90s that that just seemed forbidden for undergrads. I didn't think we'd ever be allowed in there, and honestly, like you said, I'm not quite sure that we can sneak back in. But you're being honored, so they're going to have to let you in. And
Right.
you've mentioned so many great names of your contemporaries, other people from the sports department. You mentioned Sue Zizza and, of course, Jeff Krause. Is there anyone else at this point that you would like to say thank you to or acknowledge before your induction?
Well, I will say, I'm really glad Dave Mock is
Mm,
being inducted.
yeah.
Dave was part of the news team. I think Dave was the news team
Hmm.
back in our days. And, so sad that we lost him so young. And I think it's really great. And I didn't realize that he had involvement with the station beyond just his college years. Um, so I think it's great. He was so dedicated, he was so devoted, and so serious.
Hmm.
But then would have this really funny little wit about him just when you didn't expect it. Dave would say something or just give you a look or a smile, and it he was a real character, but so serious about the news and serious about, doing a great job on the air. And so I'm really happy that Dave is being honored. And one person that I am so sad will not be with us is another former sports guy and dear friend, Jack Stasinski,
Mm.
who tragically passed away last year, and it 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 eats at me every day. I wish I could have done more to keep Jack here, but hopefully he is happy wherever he is now. Um, and I would just say, Jack, you were beloved, you were funny, you were a basketball nut and basketball guru, and um, I miss you every day. So, yeah, I think I would leave it at that.
Hmm. What a great place to leave it, and it shows how much this community and the relationships mean to so many of us, that we carry these friendships and these stories with us over the decades, and it's not just something that happened when we were teenagers. This is stuff that stays with us always, and clearly that time means a lot to you to this day. So
Oh yeah, I mean, look, we're talking about 35, 40 years ago, and I'm still annoying all of my fellow sports colleagues. So
that's the best of
I think
friends
it's
always
pretty
do
great.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. Can I mention one last
Oh
thing?
yeah, of
Because
course.
I really want to make this like not just a short podcast, but maybe a multi-part series. Maybe we'll just turn this, Brian, into an audiobook. What do you think of that?
You seem to know what you're doing. I'm on board.
Apparently, I do. One thing I was going to mention that's kind of crazy is my wife, Molly Beth, does. She likes to do community theater,
Hmm.
and she is currently working on a show, and it's the reason she won't be able to be there for the induction ceremony. Is because it's opening weekend for the show Schoolhouse Rock that she is a big part of. And here's the crazy thing about and how crazy and small the Hofstra Radio world is. Um, the person who's doing costumes for this show with my wife was carrying a Hofstra bag one day,
Uh-huh.
and my wife said, "Oh, did you go to Hofstra?" And she said, "No, my son does." And she said, and my wife said, "Well, my husband went there. He's actually about to be inducted into the Hofstra Radio Hall of Fame." And the costumer said, "Well, my son is a freshman at Hofstra,
Get out.
and he wants to be in sports media.
Oh my God.
And apparently, he is a part or trying to be or becoming a part of WRHU. His name is Luca. I've not yet spoken with him, but I sent him a text this morning. His mom gave us his number, and I reached out to him and I introduced myself, and I told him I'd be up there for the induction ceremony. Would be, delighted to meet him and become a mentor if that's something he would be interested in. So
Wow.
it's so weird the way connections end up happening, but they do.
That is
They
so
just keep
cool.
happening. Isn't that great?
That is great. Oh, I love that story. That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
maybe we can get the sports guys to simulcast the induction so your wife can watch it before she goes on stage for
Yeah,
Schoolhouse
yeah,
Rock.
they have a matinee that day and then an
Oh,
evening performance. And she was, if it was only a matinee, she was going to hop on a plane and try to be here in time, but
oh,
can't do it. So,
no,
you know what? That's all right. Let her do what she loves. And I will get to see her show the following weekend.
no. Well, we'll tell her break a leg and best wishes for that. And it'll be
Can I
nice
tell
to,
you, Brian,
yeah.
I've actually broken an ankle, and it was so painful and so bad that I can't. I mean, I know that's the phrase everyone wants to use, break a leg. I can't, in good conscience, tell someone to break a leg.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's not in the literal sense. Certainly, that's we
Right,
wouldn't want that. But
right.
yeah, but
I just say, have a good show.
that's the best thing to say.
Sure,
Absolutely.
that's
Um,
safe.
Thank you so much for doing this. This was so much fun, and I look forward to seeing you in person on the 19th. And again, just a heartfelt congratulations to this well-deserved honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian, and really, thank you for doing these because you have enabled me to reconnect through my ears with a lot of people from the past who I miss and maybe forgot about, to be honest,
Mm.
and have really enjoyed reconnecting and hearing about their time at the station and what they've done since. So it's a pretty cool thing. So thank you for doing these, and I hope you keep going.